Hi guys, welcome back to TV Spoilers. Today I'm going to reveal some crucial clues that make Victoria feel that Billy and Phyllis are acting suspiciously. She decides to follow them, uncovering a horrifying secret. Kane's mysterious disappearance makes Victoria feel uneasy. Watching Kane red-handed at the crime scene, Victoria is looking for Kane to confront him. She unexpectedly bursts into the room and finds Kane unconscious on the bed, while Phyllis and Billy are busy with transfer papers. Victoria immediately realizes Billy has been tricked or is involved in a dangerous scheme. She will call the police and try to save Kane, while also questioning Billy about his role in this incident. Victoria has entered this week with an unnameable feeling of unease, the kind of premonition she hates most because it's usually right. After what was happening in Genoa City, the power shifts, the alliances that formed too quickly and then dissolved even faster, and familiar faces suddenly looking like strangers. Victoria became increasingly convinced that something was being hidden, and that it was directly related to Kane. She wasn't the type to be easily swayed by emotions. She relied on facts, clues, and how people change their habits when they're lying. But this time, everything stemmed from seemingly harmless small pieces. Kane's unusual absence, unanswered calls, curt messages, and most importantly, the way Billy and Phyllis suddenly appeared in the same shadowy area, always in places where they shouldn't be, always acting as if they were rushing before a storm known only to them. Victoria didn't want to believe the worst, because she knew Billy well enough to know he could be both the troublemaker and the victim. And Phyllis. Phyllis was the kind of person who could turn a mistake into a strategy, emotions into a weapon, and panic into the most believable mask. It was this combination that made Victoria feel dangerous. Not in the sense of a big conspiracy in the newspapers, but in a dirtier way. Desperate decisions in a closed room, where one wrong step could turn into a crime. Victoria didn't hesitate. She pulled out her phone and called the police, not because she needed a rescue team to do her part, but because she understood this was the moment when justice had to be brought into the room, before everything turned into a no-evidence story. She chose to bring the matter to light immediately, even if it meant sparking a political, legal, and media battle in Genoa City, where every scandal was currency and every truth was bargained for. But amidst all that bargaining, Kane lay unconscious. Victoria wouldn't allow that to be negotiated. When the call connected, she went straight to his bedside, shaking him, instinctively checking his condition. A woman accustomed to seeing crisis and reacting instead of collapsing. She had no time for weak fear. Victoria's fear was a fear in the form of action, placing her hand on the motionless man's shoulder, looking at his complexion, observing his breathing, and telling herself she had to keep him alive until the professionals arrived. Then she spun around. The coldness of a Newman surfaced, but beneath it was a storm. Victoria questioned Billy about his role in this horrific case, her gaze, though not explicitly stated, freezing the space between them, her stare like a knife, her posture like a wall, and her disappointment like a gravitational pull dragging them all down. She didn't ask, "What are you doing?" She asked, "What have you turned yourself into?" Billy stammered, trying to find words that could make his actions seem plausible, that could convince Victoria it was a misunderstanding or a forced situation. But Victoria knew all too well. Explanations are often just a way to buy a few extra seconds to correct the truth. And while Billy struggled to construct a story, his eyes betrayed him. The eyes of someone who knew they were in the wrong place at the wrong time, and could lose everything because of a decision he once considered wise. In the chaos, Phyllis sought to escape. She didn't run in the panic of the weak. It was the slip of the survivor, the one instinctively fleeing the scene before it turns into a trap. Phyllis knew all too well that once the police arrived, everything in the storm would be stamped, photographed, collected, and in her world, fingerprints weren't just on paper, but also on eyes, on expressions, on how people reacted when caught red-handed. But Victoria blocked the way. She was determined to not let Phyllis escape, not because she wanted to play the hero, but because she understood a cruel rule of Genoa City. If the person capable of manipulating the story is allowed to leave first, then tomorrow the story will be nothing like today. Victoria stood there like a locked door, forcing Phyllis to be faced the price of what she had bet.